I think we're live on, this meeting is being live streamed, cool. Buddy is a good match. I try, I think the blues and the greens really bring out my eyes. Live on, meeting being live streamed, cool. Buddy is a good match. I try, I think the blue. Interesting. All right. I think you guys can support your channel. How do we get this on watching now? Pin a comment. I'm trying to do like TikTok and Zoom at the same time, but Zoom is like delayed slightly, which is a little bit awkward. So I might only be able to do one at a time. That is annoying. Very, very annoying. All these technological things that I am just not equipped to deal with. Carl, I've been on Ozempic for over a year and I'm major plateauing. No going down or up. All right, hold on. Okay, so let's answer some questions. I've been on Ozempic for over a year and I am major plateauing, no going up, going down. Any ideas? So when it comes to the weight loss medications, and if someone's no longer losing weight on them, I mean, first and foremost, what's happened is that your calories going in are equal to your calories that are going out. So you're no longer achieving a calorie deficit. Now, achieving a calorie deficit, there's going to be a number of changes after you've lost weight and you've been in a calorie deficit or on a diet for a long time. So a couple of things that we'd want to first look at is just are you indeed tracking your calories properly, and how does that compare to where your current calorie burn and stuff like that should be? And then some of the next things that we're going to be looking at, if that's all good, is that maybe even considering taking like a diet break. Now, a lot of people get freaked out by that of, what do you mean take a diet break? What essentially we're looking at is just taking a break, easing off on the dietary aspect and increasing your calories back up to maintenance. The reason being is that we not only want to try and reset some of the metabolic adaptations, but a lot of people, when they're dieting for long periods of time, without even realizing it, it might be once a week, it could be once every couple of weeks, where they're consuming a huge amount of calories that are ultimately kicking them out of a calorie deficit and affecting their overall weight loss goals. Because fundamentals of it is that dieting is extremely challenging and extremely difficult. So that's kind of my first off suggestions is, number one, just confirm that you are indeed in a calorie deficit. If you're not, or if you are, what have you, and it still seems like a pretty big struggle, I would recommend taking a break. Ease it up, figure out what your maintenance calories are. You can go to my website. I have like a total daily energy expenditure calculator there. If you type in optimal health is kind of what you're aiming for, it'll punch out what your maintenance level of calories are for your current age, height, weight, and activity levels and stuff. And so that would be kind of the first one, just to kind of take a break, ease up, and see how things are going and stuff for you. So that would be kind of my first step, if you will. Hopefully that helps. I'm going to go to privacy by the computer guidelines. All right. Mama Masita, welcome back. Well, thank you. It feels good to be back. It's kind of I'm still like getting used to everything. And again, all the technological stuff is all pretty cool and wild. And, you know, it's only been a few months, but there's been a number of changes and upgrades. And I mean, it seems pretty cool, pretty awesome. So I'm enjoying it thus far. It's just really hard, like not getting sucked into the social media realm of things. Like when I took a break over the Christmas holidays, it was so nice to like not be on social media and not be being sucked into it. So yeah, it's been weird getting back to it and stuff, but slowly but surely. How was your bodybuilding competition? It was good. It was a hell of a learning experience, to say the least. I've never been that lean before in my life. I guess I should do like a whole update video on that. But yeah, I got down to sub 10% body fat. I kind of hated my life a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. So that was, you know, fun. But I was starving, I was hungry, I was cold all the time. But getting up there on stage and flexing my muscles while also being kind of like oiled up and very, very tanned looking was a pretty cool experience. I mean, I can definitely say I did it. Will I do it again? I don't know. I'm kind of go back and forth. One part of me kind of does, because it was like a super hard challenge and I love kind of like killing myself with various challenges and stuff like that. But on the flip side, it was also really, really, really hard and really, really sucked in a lot of ways. So yeah, it's tough. I don't know for sure. Maybe not. We'll ultimately have to see and kind of take it from there. And yeah, maybe, I don't know, but we did it, got it over with, got a lot of perspective. And yeah, now we're kind of on the up and up. How has it been since you finished training for it? I mean, it's been good for like a month, pretty much the month of November and December. I yeah, really felt like crap, like super, super duper crappy. Just my body just kind of getting back into it. You know, I lost my sex drive. So everything's kind of getting back in balance post competition. Now we're doing really, really well, but I also had like a huge number of stressors that kind of came up into December and kind of over into January. And so that really didn't help things out. I didn't do my reverse diet as well as I wanted to, but yeah, I mean, we still made it through and came out not too bad. I gained back a little bit more weight than I wanted to. Like I'm up 25 pounds from my stage weight. So I got on stage at 174-ish or so. And now I'm sitting at about, I think it was like 200, 201 this morning or something like that. So I'm up definitely higher weight-wise than what I would like to be right now. And probably in the next maybe week or two, I might start looking at kind of doing kind of a bit of a mini cut over like an 8-week period and see about bringing my weight down to like 195, maybe 192, 190, somewhere in there. We'll kind of see how it goes. But training and stuff like that, I'm feeling strong, feeling good. It's wonderful to have food again and all the carbs. So yeah, other than that, yeah, it's not too bad. If you'd asked me like end of November and December, I would have told you, yeah, I kind of feel like crap, but now we're doing all right. So that's a super hard challenge. Good for you that you did it. Well, thank you. Yeah, it was a pretty neat experience, kind of one of those bucket list things. I'm definitely glad I did it. Because yeah, I really learned a whole lot about myself in terms of just resiliency and all what is possible. So yeah, it was pretty badass in that sense. You know it firsthand how easy it is to gain some weight back. Well, absolutely. And I mean, I even going before that, I knew certainly how challenging it was. And yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed that we didn't get to do as well of a reverse diet that I wanted to. But that's all right. I mean, we still kind of did it anyways and gained a little bit more back, but I know how to get my weight if I wanted to back down to that level. But in reality, just a little bit closer to kind of where I naturally sit at comfortably. And so, yeah, we'll kind of make some tweaks and changes and kind of go back to that. And then we'll do like a proper reverse diet and bring my calories and stuff back up and reach a good maintenance level from that perspective. So So yeah, we'll kind of figure it out. Kind of off tangent, but do you recommend weighing yourself daily when you're trying to lose weight? This is really going to depend on the individual. I mean, ideally, yeah, it would be great if you can weigh yourself every day. You can see the ups and the downs. You can see how your weight changes, and you're going to be able to pick out a lot more patterns and things that kind of go on. For say my bodybuilding competition, for example, the start of the week, like clockwork, I always weighed in a little bit higher, and then I'd kind of slowly drop over the course of the week. And then it was like every Sunday morning, I would have a big drop in weight, whether it was like 1 or 2 pounds or whatever, or there was just some large drop that came every single Sunday. So that was kind of a pattern that I was able to pick out. But if I wasn't weighing myself, I would say just doing every Monday or every Friday, I wouldn't ultimately see that change. And I mean, in my case, yes, we were making changes to my dietary patterns a lot more quickly. But without that data, we wouldn't have been able to make those changes properly and stuff like that. So there certainly is value that can come from weighing yourself every day. However, it really depends if you can tolerate it. You know, a lot of people, they put up so much weight into the scale and the number on the scale, and it can like ruin their day and everything like that. So unless you can like kind of go without having a meltdown every time you weigh yourself and that sort of thing, then it's probably not ideal. Weighing every week is awesome, but again, if it's ruining your week or is going to make you say, you know what, screw it, I'm done, and you throw your hands up and get out, then that's a whole other can of worms and problem and stuff like that. So it's a lot of things to kind of think about and to put into perspective, and depending on where you're at, it could be good for some people and that extra data, and other people maybe not so much, or other people need to look at other metrics such as doing measurements around their arm, waist, and that sort of thing. So yeah, a lot to think about from there. When will other diabetic drugs become certified for weight loss? I mean, obviously we have Victoza and Saxenda is the obesity version. Ozempic is the diabetes, and Wegovy is the weight loss, obesity management one. And then what's the other one? Mounjaro currently approved for diabetes. Very quickly is probably going to get the approval for obesity management. So it really all depends if the drug has any data for helping and supporting with weight loss. The SGLT2 medications that we currently use, so that would be Jardiance, Invokana, Forxiga, and I think the States has another one that I can't remember the name of. There was actually a really interesting article around those ones where the benefits that we see with those drugs in terms of helping with heart failure seems to be that they're linked to the losing of weight. Now, whether that's fat or whether that's water loss or what have you, it's likely multifactorial. That seems to have that benefit. So it seems to help with weight loss, but is it going to get the indication for obesity and weight loss? Probably not, because it's not clinically significant enough weight loss. So for a drug really to get classified or to receive the indication for weight loss, we usually want to see about a 5% weight loss from baseline. So that's the kind of data that we're ultimately looking for. And then, yeah, it's just kind of a matter of time and the studies being done and working their way through the approval process. So, do you ever work with people who have been obese since childhood? And I mean, a very, very young child. Yeah, I mean, that's like 90% of the patients and clients that I work with. They've often struggled with their weight all of their life. They've had some kind of, usually childhood trauma or issue or concern in that perspective that has led to their weight, or certainly some kind of family patterns and learned coping skills in terms of, their mom was always on a diet, or they learned that food was a coping mechanism and made them feel better, or their parents went through a divorce and, whenever the kid was sad, the parents took them out for ice cream or another treat or something like that. So yeah, I mean, I work with a lot of people who deal with that, and oftentimes, yeah, there's people that have that childhood struggle that has carried on and carried over into their adult life. In terms of working with kids and stuff like that, I don't work with anybody under the age of 18. Yeah, pediatric obesity, there's some similarities, but it's a whole other can of worms and stuff like that I'm working with, and more of a family dynamic and that sort of thing that yeah, I probably won't ever go and work in. Peds and kids, I mean, ever since I worked in the hospital and I did a brief stint on a neonatal unit, and learning just the kinetics of babies and stuff. They're like bags of water that are completely unpredictable. And yeah, it's too much for me. So no, I won't be working with kids, young kids or anything. It ruins my day when I weigh in and I've gained. It's a horrible cycle. And that's kind of one of the things that a lot of people expect, is that they expect every time they step on the scale, their weight is supposed to go down. But it's not how the scale works. Like, I'll have to repost my weight journey with my bodybuilding journey, or if I do a mini cut here in the next little bit, kind of what happens to the scale. Because, like, I mean, the wind blows and your weight could be up, or you could have had a big poop before you got on the scale, or maybe you went out for dinner the night before, or you had more salt in your food. Like, there's a huge number of things that can cause the number on the scale to go up or down. And ultimately, a lot of it you can't control. There's nothing you can do about it. And that's totally okay. That's just a natural process of how our body manages and loses weight. So it really comes down to being able to put it into perspective and realize that it's not the end all be all, and it's just a number on the scale. That's all it is. Do you ever work with people who have diabetes, lost one leg, and own a boat? Certainly people that have diabetes, definitely people that have lost a leg or toes or other aspects, and own a boat. I mean, I'm sure some of them have owned a boat. I don't know. That usually isn't part of my screening question. So I can't really say if I've worked with someone with all three of those things. For sure not, probably. Are you in Canada? You betcha. I am in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. What are your thoughts on Topamax? Cool. So Topamax, or topiramate is the other name, originally came to market as an anticonvulsant type medication. It is now used kind of in some limited capacity still for anticonvulsants. It's usually not our go-to agent. It can also be used for mood stabilization in some senses. And then, yeah, it does have some evidence for showing that it can help with weight loss, weight management, and that sort of thing. On its own, it's not super great for that. And that's why it's combined with phentermine. And the brand name drug is Qsima, something like that. Anyways, it's only available in the States currently as that combination drug. And we've combined it with the phentermine because topiramate does have some pretty gnarly side effects all on its own. And so the idea is that if we combine it with the phentermine, what that can ultimately do is allow for less side effects of both medications, but most particularly with the topiramate. There's actually a joke that we have with topiramate or Topamax. We call it the California drug because it makes you stupid and makes you skinny. Sorry to people from California. It's a very broad generalization and isn't necessarily true, but yeah, that's kind of that drug there. On its own, I definitely wouldn't recommend it for anybody just because it can cause brain fog and all kinds of other issues and stuff. So it's not pleasant on its own, and for the potential weight loss benefit is not super great. So not my favorite agent, but it certainly could be used for some people, or if you have, say, a seizure disorder and a weight issue, it might be something that could be looked at to be added on. But Definitely not a go-to for me. Yes, I believe he's in Calgary. Nice, thank you. What's going on, South Carolina? What kind of services can you provide long distance? Good question. So everything that I do is online. So either connection via kind of a secure teleconferencing platform of some kind. And yeah, we kind of work on really focusing on all of the lifestyle components of things. So looking at what your dietary patterns are you getting enough protein? How can we start helping you with activity and exercise and stuff like that? I'm actually probably going to get my personal training certificate in maybe over the summer. We'll kind of see. But then that'll be kind of adding in a component of helping with exercises and exercise videos and examples and stuff like that. So lots of things potentially there, but really my focus and my team's focus, what we look at is yeah, the lifestyle component, and also looking at your emotional, psychological, spiritual, all those sorts of things, and kind of why you do what you do and how we can help you to kind of break some of the cycles, particularly with all or nothing mentality, perfectionism, and even kind of developing a better relationship with food, the scale, all those wonderful things. So that's all the services that we provide online, long distance, if you will. YouTube's looking good. So I've had amazing success with Ozempic, but the shortage stopped me after 12 months. Yeah, it's the shortage with Ozempic. I know it's still shorted or kind of off and on in the States. We haven't had a shortage here in Canada. It's not available in Australia. Wegovy, that shortage has now been corrected. Ozempic, hopefully it'll be soon or not too far behind it. And yeah, and then Wegovy will be available in Australia and Canada, maybe in March. March is kind of what I've heard is the rough plan, but no one's really signing off on that yet, just in case something happens, of course. So we'll ultimately see. Hopefully they'll all be there. Yeah, kind of come March 2023 here. So I've tried Topamax and it made me super aggressive. Yeah, that's kind of one of the downsides on it. You wouldn't have any info when the Ozempic shortages is going to end. Yeah, like I said, kind of it should be very near here. So I joined through Liz. I'm actually in a weight loss trial through Pfizer at my doctor's office. What drug does Pfizer currently have? I'd have to go look that back up, but I know they got one that's currently in the market. So cool. Yeah, it would be really neat to kind of learn more about that. And I'll be doing some clinical trial stuff here in the very, very near future. So exciting stuff coming up. Is Metformin a good weight loss maintenance drug? Not really. I mean, so Metformin can help with weight loss. It's more, we use it more for diabetes, blood sugar management. It's very effective at that. It has other effects in terms of helping to protect the heart, protect the kidneys, and that sort of thing. So it's very, very effective from that sense of it. In terms of maintenance, I mean, whatever drug that you used or helped you to lose weight, such as if you were on Wegovy, Saxenda, or whatever, that would be the drug that I would ultimately keep you on for maintaining the weight loss. I wouldn't switch you to Metformin for that reason or anything. If you had diabetes and blood sugar issues and you lost a bunch of weight and stuff, then certainly Metformin could be looked at to stay on, but more for managing the blood sugars, not so much for the weight loss aspect of it. So it wouldn't be something that I would add on. Your patient would already be on it, and it'd be more for helping to manage the blood sugar levels and the other benefits that Metformin provides, not for a weight loss medication, just because it wouldn't be all that effective for weight loss or for weight maintenance. So hope that helps. Who's a good candidate for your clinic? I'm a post-bariatric patient and down 300 pounds, wanting to lose more. So yeah, so we kind of take on just about anybody, whether you've had bariatric surgery or you're on any of these medications or what have you, like I said, we have a real focus on the lifestyle component of things. And generally people, are on these medications or have done other things, and we provide the ongoing support to help them to be as successful as possible. The biggest thing that we exclude clients for would be if you have, say, severe psychological disorders or conditions that currently aren't treated, or if you have a pretty significant or severe history of eating disorders. So looking at, say, anorexia, bulimia, those sorts of things would be reasons why you wouldn't be a good candidate for our group, just because we're not specialized in that sense of it. But certainly if you're looking to work on your lifestyle and how to better manage day-to-day patterns and stuff like that, we definitely can help you out. Link is in my bio, and you can book a free consultation with myself, or you can check on my website, healthevolved.co. Again, it's healthevolved.co. O is in orange. And you can book on there with me. So that's your option. At Liz's Life. What is going on, Kathy? No problem there, Joanne. Clinical trials. I'm your gal. Awesome. I will definitely let you know when those are up and coming. I'm on Ozempic, down 30 pounds in 1 year, but now nothing on 2 mils or 2 milligrams, I'm assuming. So we kind of already reviewed this a little bit, but if you're no longer losing on these medications, fundamentally, you're no longer in a calorie deficit. So your calories going in are equal to your calories that are going out. So we need to look at, well, why is that the case? Either A, you've just lost so much weight, or your body's so metabolically adapted that now it's equal to your calories out. Maybe your activity has decreased. There's a whole host of different things that are going on there. Or even perhaps, we need to look at, are you counting and tracking calories? Are you overeating on the weekends? Is there something that's kind of being missed? So be taking a look at all of those things. And as well, the one big thing that I often recommend is even taking a diet break. So calculating your maintenance calories and working your way back up to that amount and just holding yourself there for a month or two. If you've been, on a diet for a year, even going and doing that for a year and just holding yourself at maintenance and really focusing on getting to the gym, lifting weights, getting stronger, focused on health and that sort of thing. And then afterwards, then creating another calorie deficit and working your way down from there. Everybody wants to rush this process, but it takes time. It's a lifelong process. It doesn't happen overnight. So you really need to kind of take your time with it. And if you need to take a break, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's kind of allowing yourself to get back to baseline. It's allowing yourself to reduce your cravings and that sort of thing, and also allows these medications to be that much more effective for you. So, Rose, right now it's a bunch of numbers and I think a few letters. That sounds about right for a clinical trial drug. It'll be like ZHPQ62T3 or something like that. And then honestly, they will then create some kind of name for it that really won't be much better, but such as the drug companies. Kathy, haven't seen you do a live in ages. No, I have not been doing, I haven't been doing lives. I don't think I've done one since like September of this last year, I guess. It's it's been some time. Even on my content creation, like this month, we're finally just kind of getting everything back and up and going, and life is finally restabilizing and stuff. So we're on the up and up, if you will. Shelley, I had a consult and I was very impressed. Hope to work with you once the funds allow. Awesome. I look forward to it, Shelley. Lots of people. We work with lots of people. My books are kind of wide open right now. So if you're looking to make some lifestyle changes, modifications, let me know, book a consult. Would love to meet with you and see if you're a good fit for the program. Liz, I've been on Contrave for 2 months. All of my chronic pain is gone. I told my family doctor And she went, Google says being tested for chronic pain. Have you heard of this? So, yeah, Contrave, or the component Naltrexone, being used for chronic pain. Yeah, there's actually some very interesting evidence around Naltrexone, and actually some evidence showing that it potentially can have an effect with pain management. So Naltrexone is an interesting molecule. So to give you guys the background on what Naltrexone is what we call an opioid antagonist. So when it's in the body and stuff like that, what it does is it blocks the opioid receptors. And within our body, we have opioid receptors, which naturally are natural endorphins, the things that like runners get high off of after their run. Those bind to those receptors and make us feel really good. And when we get opioids like morphine or other drugs like that, it binds to those receptors and relieves pain. Now, an opioid antagonist will block that receptor, prevent the opioid from binding to it, and essentially blocks it and prevents that pain relieving effect. However, with Naltrexone, at low doses, particularly people say microdosing, I think it's like 3 or 4 milligrams a day or something like that. What people are showing and seeing with that is that it seems to have this anti-inflammatory effect. I'd have to look back up to see what exactly the mechanism of action is, but it seems to, yeah, kind of reduce inflammation. And it's one of these weird ones. For some people, it works like a hot damn. Other people, not so much. It really varies person to person. But yeah, I've had some people that have used it and absolutely swear by it. So I'm not necessarily surprised, and it'll be interesting to see how it comes out in the next little while. But if you're getting that benefit, I mean, that's awesome. That's fantastic. So Virginia's World, thanks for all you do. My pleasure, Virginia. Chris, pharmacist from Texas here. Where and what kind of obesity management training did you do on top of the normal PharmD curriculum? I think it's awesome, the work you do, and appreciate it. Well, thanks, Chris. Geez, okay. So I'll give you guys the full breakdown on my education. So I did a Bachelor of Science in microbiology. That was my first degree. Went back to school, got a Bachelor of Science in pharmacy, so became a pharmacist after that. Went back to school, got my Doctor of Pharmacy, and through that was a whole pile of various clinical training and all that beautiful stuff. And so there I got my Doctor of Pharmacy, had a real focus on preventative type medicine and family medicine and that sort of thing. Really fell in love with it. And then, yeah, I started practicing and was practicing in like physicians' clinics and kind of some unique primary care environments, mostly focused on diabetes. And then actually I was approached by the drug company Novo Nordisk. They're the ones that make Saxenda, Wegovy, Ozempic. And they were kind of like, yeah, there's all this research and data in terms of obesity. Would you like to learn more about it? There's a certification you can get. And so the certification was called a Certified Bariatric Educator. And so I got that certificate and did the test and all that kind of stuff. And I was one of the first pharmacists in Canada, and might have been one of the first pharmacists actually globally that got that certification. And then after that, I took further training. So I did courses with Precision Nutrition. I've done their level 1, level 2 coaching. I'm doing another one through Mac Nutrition Uni. And those are basically a year-long course in in-depth detail around nutrition and stuff like that. And then on top of that, there's what's called the ABOM certification through the States, or the American Board of Obesity Medicine. And so it's a board certification for physicians. And basically they do X number of training or get a number of educational credits and stuff like that. And then they can write an exam and get board certified. For that board certification, they need, I think it's like 60 to 100 credits or something like that. I technically can't write the exam because I'm not a physician, but I did the educational side of it. So basically all I needed to do was essentially the writing the exam. Actually, I've done the educational side and then like hours beyond that. And then, yeah, so I've done basically that. And if I was a physician, I would wrote the exam, would have my board certification at this point in time. And then it's been just continued learning and practicing and just helping thousands of people at this point. So I've been at it full time since 2017. And yeah, I think I'm one of the only pharmacists, again, globally that I'm aware of that's practicing in this space full time. So very unique opportunity and area that I've kind of carved out for myself. And yeah, I've got some other, well, another big project on the go right now here in Calgary that will further enhance and build on that. And then further, I'm doing a postdoctoral fellowship through the University of Alberta Department of Medicine. It's mostly a hypertension-based project right now, but it's going to give me further exposure into clinical research and further elevate me on kind of that arm of things. So basically, I'm ridiculously educated in a lot of ways, and have just done a lot of self-study and a lot of various courses in education and stuff like that, and really trying to piece it together. So that's kind of the rough overall, if you will, as to, yeah, how I've gotten trained up in this area. And then again, it's just practice and just getting experience. So that's that. Hopefully that answers that question there, Chris. Yes, sounds good. Pretty sedentary from torn meniscus. That's really shitty. It always sucks when something like that slows you down, but doing what you can, staying as mobile as you can, and doing all the physio that you can. Yeah. Since it's still in the trials for weight loss, it isn't available to the public yet. Yeah, you exactly nailed it. So since a drug, when it's in clinical trials, yeah, it's still going through. The people that are included in the clinical trials can get access to it, or to whatever their placebo or comparison group might be. But at present, yeah, general day-to-day people would not be able to access it. Thoughts on Ozempic post-sleeve surgery? Yeah, I mean, it's certainly something that I've lots of patients and clients that I've worked with who are post-sleeve and are on it. It definitely can be used. Some people are using it to prevent weight regain post-bariatric or post-weight loss or post-obesity surgery. Some people are using it in conjunction with it. Some people use it before and continue on afterwards. Yeah, there really is no overall concerns. The only big thing would just be using them far enough out from the surgery, just because with the sleeve or any other bariatric surgery, it can do a number on the GI tract and stuff. So we definitely want to have enough space and allow for enough healing to allow your GI tract to normalize before we add in something that's going to maybe slow things down or potentially cause any kind of complications, just because you might be more sensitive to that in that perspective. So yeah, I use it. It's can be used for sure. Is Contrave a stay on it long-term sort of medication, the same as the injections? Yes, essentially. So Contrave, for those of you that don't know, here's the little bottle there, ish. Anyway, so Contrave, yeah, you can stay on Contrave for life. People are on the two different components, or have been on the two different components, bupropion, Wellbutrin or Zyban, and bupropion SR have been on, and Naltrexone have been on the separate components for years and years and years. We have tons of good safety data for the individual ingredients. And then with Contrave itself, yeah, there's no questions or concerns. I'm on bupropion, which is a component of Contrave. I take it for anxiety, depression, ADD, and that sort of thing. And yeah, I'll take it for the rest of my life. And I have no concerns, no issues from that percent. So it certainly can be used lifelong for sure. Virginia's World on YouTube. It's been a hectic week, but because we've worked together over all these months, I was able to keep semi-calm. That is awesome, Virginia. I'm very glad to hear it. Yeah, always awesome to kind of get that feedback that, yeah, the work that you do with somebody and being able to help people to manage their day to day. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, it's blast that I can have that effect and have that impact for people. Lily D, I'm assuming you're talking about compounded naltrexone. So at the lower doses of the 4 milligrams a day, those ones are compounded. I'm already on Wellbutrin for years for depression. How would that work if I wanted to try this? So if you're already on the Wellbutrin component, so that's one of the components of Contrave again. Yeah, I mean, you could either potentially be switched over to Contrave itself, or talk to your doctor about maybe adding on the naltrexone component. I've had success with both of them, or both situations, I guess, with patients. So it really depends on, yeah, kind of on your situation, if you will. So I am taking Ozempic 1 milligram for diabetes. Is it normal for the fullness effects to go away? So the fullness effects, what a lot of people think is helping them in terms of their weight loss is, yeah, it makes you feel fuller at first with the Ozempic, Wegovy, and that sort of thing. The reason being is that these medications, or the GLP-1 hormone, slows down gastric emptying, or how quickly food moves from your stomach to your small intestine. So food sits in your stomach for longer and ultimately slows that whole process down and can make you feel fuller for longer. However, this is not actually the effects in terms of helping with weight loss. This is an effect in that it's a side effect that eventually goes away. So once your body adapts to the medication and gets used to it, your gastric emptying, or how quickly food moves from your stomach to your small intestine, speeds back up. It goes back up to its normal rate. And then at that point in time, yeah, essentially what's happening is that your body you'll no longer feel that fullness experience. Now the drug is still working within your brain, and what it's doing there is it's reducing your appetite and food-seeking behaviors. So it's still having the benefit in terms of weight management, but that fullness, nausea, feeling full very quickly aspect will eventually go away. And that's just, like, again, it's a side effect of the medication. That's just the way that the medications work. And so in those situations, what we often see is that people notice their hunger comes back. And the reason why the hunger comes back is because you've lost weight. And then up to that point, you've likely been in a calorie deficit, and probably a pretty severe calorie deficit, maybe because you've chosen not to eat as much, or it's been very easy for you to eat very, very little. And in that situation, biology is taking over, and your body is saying, hey, I'm going to get you to eat regardless if you want to or not. And the hunger is quite overt. So if you're having really bad hunger come back and you've been on the medication for a while and stuff like that, it's definitely look at how many calories you're currently consuming, and you probably need to take in more food to better fuel your body. So yeah. Hey, currently on Saxenda, lost 15 pounds quickly, now plateaued and working out 30 minutes a day. Any tips? So yeah, we've kind of talked about this one a couple of times. Biggest thing is you need to get into a calorie deficit. So taking a look at your dietary patterns, seeing how much you're eating, and that's not just looking day to day, Monday through Friday, that's looking at the full 7 days to see how much calories and food you're actually consuming and stuff like that. And that will ensure that you're staying within that calorie deficit. And then from there, what also might need to happen, since you've lost quite a bit of weight, your body's undergone metabolic adaptations. Psychologically, maybe you need a break from the med and from dieting. And so it might be a case of, again, bumping up your calories and going up to your maintenance level of calories and holding there for a little while. And maintenance level would be for your current age, height, and weight and activity levels. And yeah, kind of stay there for a month or two and just hang out, allow everything to kind of resettle and whatnot, and kind of better manage your hunger, and then look at creating a calorie deficit from there. to toot my own horn, I guess, I have a little calculator on my website. It's a total daily energy expenditure calculator. Link is in my bio, or you can go to the website healthevolve.co, and there you can check out the calculator, punch in optimal health. It'll give your current maintenance level of calories, and you can even punch in weight loss or lose weight, and it'll give you the amount of calories that you should be eating in order to lose weight. Nodular sclerosis with adenosis and apocrine metaplasia. It's bad. I mean, I don't want to say it sounds bad, but I kind of only somewhat understand some of those words, and I feel like you need to speak with an oncologist, maybe. I do not have nearly enough knowledge in that area to give you any kind of opinion there. Alma, Alanida, you've been missed. Well, thank you. You all have been missed. I'm loving all the engagement and questions. It is good to be back. Big Josh, hello, hello. Jediah Adewal, you look so different. I guess you lost weight. Regardless, looking good. Well, thank you. Yes, we are post-competition. At my heaviest, I was at 220 pounds back in beginning of July. Lost 50 pounds for my competition in November. And now I'm back up, about 25 pounds or so like that post-competition. So went from 174 to about 200 pounds now. On Saxenda 2.4, if I were to switch to Ozempic, what dose should I start with? Yeah, it's always a tough question. It's going to vary person to person, and it's really going to depend on, did you have side effects at the lower doses and various other factors and stuff like that. As a hypothetical, if you were a patient of mine and you didn't have any side effects or very minimal side effects to Saxenda while titrating up, I would potentially look at Ozempic 0.5 milligrams. Again, that's hypothetical. It's going to depend person to person. You need to talk to your doctor, yada, yada. Please don't sue me, that sort of thing. But yeah, that would probably be where I would start. If you were more sensitive and had more side effects, I would bring you down to the 0.25 and slowly or bring you up from there. Might be able to titrate Ozempic a little bit more quickly. So do 2 weeks at 0.25 versus the full 4 weeks. Huge number of factors. And really, until I sit down and talk with somebody, I can't know for sure what exactly I would do. So from Chris, we have so many patients on GLP-1s. I've used Ozempic and Mounjaro successfully. I always tell patients it's not a magical silver bullet, that it's a tool to learn good eating habits and behaviors. Yeah, I mean, that's probably one of the hardest things about these medications and kind of using them to provide support in weight management and stuff, is that they're nothing special. They just make it a little bit easier for you to get into a calorie deficit, to reduce your calories that are going in so that you're taking in fewer calories than what you're burning. And then ultimately that leads to weight loss. We don't have any medications on the market, at least not yet, that increase your metabolic rate. There is some in some very, very early clinical trials. However, I don't know how well they're going to work. Previous medications that were similar to these ones, one drug in particular was called dinitrophenol, was back out in the early 1900s or so. Great for weight loss, like extremely great. However, it basically caused the body to cook and overheat from the inside out, and a lot of people died. So there's a class of medications they're looking at as a potential target that looks similar to that dinitrophenol. But yeah, just because of potential side effects and stuff, I don't know if we're going to see those come to market. Even if we do, it's probably going to be years and years and years before those come out. And yeah, they got a long ways to go. So that's what these drugs do. They're nothing magical. They reduce or help you to achieve a calorie deficit more easily and ultimately lose weight. You look like the guy from David Dobrik Friends. I don't know what that is. What is your opinion on topiramate or Topamax? Yeah, I've kind of talked about topiramate already and Topamax. It's a component of Quizima. It's often combined with phentermine. It's not great on its own for weight loss. There's a lot of side effects that come with it. And that's why we combine it with phentermine, and it allows for lower doses of both drugs to basically reduce the side effects. But yeah, it's not a drug that I use definitely on its own. And I don't have access to Quizima up here in Canada, so I haven't used that drug at all, really, for weight loss. Canadian Patriot and what you eat too. Plateaus are normal along the way. Absolutely. Lisa, curious if you know of any correlation between Saxenda and hair loss or thinning. So I've actually done a whole YouTube video on this. You can check out my channel, Dr. Dan, Weight Loss via Habit Mastery. But there's no correlation that I'm aware of. Even in the main clinical trials, it was never really reported at all. What it's kind of presenting as, or what I've talked to colleagues and stuff about, is that it may be kind of an aspect of simply not eating enough food, so more of a malnutrition type thing. So we see a similar pattern with patients that have anorexia, patients that have undergone bariatric surgery, and they've lost a lot of weight and they're just not able to absorb the nutrients anymore because their GI tract has been altered. So we see that similar pattern. So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards right now, is that it's more of a malnutrition, not consuming enough calories kind of situation versus the drug itself, because mechanistically, there's nothing that shows the drug should cause hair loss or thinning in any kind of way. And in the few people that I've had that had hair loss, when they've either come off the drug or we've increased their calorie intake, ultimately the hair loss and thinning has resolved. So that would be kind of the thing. It takes a number of months for that resolution to occur. But yeah, that would be kind of where I'm looking at from that perspective. I see Scooby-Doo. Yes, you do. Scooby-Doo's in the background on both of them. He's hanging out, little buddy. Shelly, Topamax can be great if you can tolerate it. I could not. I've never been so exhausted in my life. Zombie. Yeah, it's that's the unfortunate part of it for sure. Saxenda too made me exhausted for the first few months. Yeah, and certainly when some people go on these medications, suddenly they're cutting their own calories by just going on a diet to try and help with the medication, but also these drugs help you to eat less. And so when you're eating and consuming less food compared to what you're used to, I mean, you're putting less gas in the tank, your energy level potentially can drop and cause a bit of exhaustion there. Losing hair, Lisa, I think we addressed that. Hopefully that helped. Called it Topamax. Yeah, Topamax, that's a good one. Do you have any suggestions on natural supplements to help with appetite suppression? Not really natural supplements. Protein is going to definitely help with appetite, making you feel satiated, that sort of thing. So that would be the best thing there. General supplements, I mean, people will promote various things and say like apple cider vinegar and other crap like that. But if you're looking to just waste money, again, link is in my bio. I think my address is there. You can send the money to me and I can pay off my student loans. Yeah, because they're all a waste of money. So in general, a good healthy diet that is high in protein, made up of whole foods, veggies, and that sort of thing is going to be your best thing to help suppress appetite. There really isn't too much in terms of supplements at all. So is Ozempic just not effective for some people? I get bouts of extreme hunger while on it. So if you're getting bouts of extreme hunger, again, what's essentially happening is that you're losing weight, you're in a calorie deficit, you're not consuming enough calories to provide your body with the nutrition that you need. So if you're getting this rebound of extreme hunger while on these medications, that's an indication your body is just not getting enough fuel. It's not getting the nutrients it needs. And so my recommendation there, and what I do with my patients and clients, is I get them to eat. I get them to eat lots of protein, whole foods, that sort of thing, and bringing their calorie intake up significantly. A lot of people will say they are consuming enough calories and stuff like that, but 1,200 calories is not enough. Even 1,500 calories a day for most people is not enough food. You need to consume more calories and understand that, yeah, your weight loss is going to be a little bit slower, but it's going to help you to better maintain the weight long term. I'm eating 1,600 calories a day, so that's not it. Yeah, you're not eating enough. 1,600 calories a day is not a lot. I eat 3,500 calories a day. That's a lot. So, yeah, I would take a closer look at your diet, particularly with your weight and stuff like that. And yeah, that would be the main thing. And it's either that or you're not getting enough balance of your nutrients of protein and that sort of thing. But yeah, that would be the biggest thing. If your body is showing hunger, it's because your body is freaking hungry. Your body needs nutrients. So yeah. Supplements. Hi there. How long should you stay on Ozempic 1 milligram before bumping to 2 milligrams? It really depends person to person. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many factors and things to kind of take into account. If someone was having good success and we wanted to see if we could push it further, maybe, but yeah, it really depends person to person, maybe what your blood sugars are doing, other comorbidities. There's a lot that's kind of going on there. And Tiger Talk says nonsense. Okay, well, then continue to struggle with extreme hunger. Like, I'm just telling you the science and the experience, but if you didn't want an answer, I mean, don't bother. Yeah. Can the effects of Saxenda wear off the second time around? Not necessarily. I mean, some people I've seen, they go on it a second time. I don't know if it's that they're maybe more resilient or have more, maybe more resiliency or just more dedicated that they need it to work or something like that, because they still seem to get side effects, but it might be a little bit less. In general, though, no. Once your body returns to regular baseline levels without the drug there, then it certainly can lead to some still lead to the side effects potentially the second time around as well. So really varies person to person, but maybe, yeah. Doesn't seem as efficient. Again, I would probably take a closer look at your dietary patterns and stuff and just making sure you're eating enough. Good to know, thanks. I'll try protein powder. Any suggestions on a good kind of protein powder? I mean, there's a bazillion one that are out there. I'm a bit biased to what's called, it's Canadian protein. That's literally it, canadianprotein.com. They're relatively cheap. You can buy a ton of it in bulk and everything like that. And yeah, it can be super beneficial from the taste perspective and also just getting a good source of protein in and stuff, as well as it's pretty cost effective and that sort of thing. So they're the ones that I generally recommend. Other than that, my other suggestion to kind of find one that maybe you like is to like go to like a Popeyes or some other supplement store. They generally have like tons and tons of samples, and you can ask them for like a couple different samples of like a whey isolate or just a whey concentrate or something like that. Yeah, and just don't get too caught up in the details of various different proteins like egg protein, pea protein, that sort of thing, unless you're like vegan or something. But if you just get a standard whey concentrate protein, yeah, you're pretty much good to go. So that would be where I would check out. I'm worried about loose skin, taking glycine, collagen, and starting red light therapy. Anything else I should do? The loose skin aspect of things is always really tough because, I mean, loose skin, we can't really cause it to retract. I mean, a good example is women after pregnancy and the loose skin that can develop after having a kid. Ultimately, once that skin is stretched, once that tissue has been pulled apart and rehealed back up, that's pretty much it. Short of getting like surgery or something like that, that's really the only way that can kind of mitigate and manage it. And if you lose the greater amount of weight that you lose, is ultimately going to cause or lead to potentially more loose skin. If you don't have a lot of weight, it might not be as bad. The other aspects would be looking at, yeah, getting into the gym and building muscle and strength and stuff like that. Building muscle, the muscle gets bigger, it's going to fill out the space, but it likely will never be to the point of where the fat tissue was. So there's not a heck of a lot you can do. And we don't have a heck of a lot of data short outside of surgery or anything, just because it's, yeah, a full on like structural change of things, I guess you could say. So Melissa H, alive, just joined. What's going on, Melissa? Nice to see you posting again. Why, thank you. I've taken both Ozempic and Mounjaro. They slowed progress about the same time. I hope you're not taking them at the same time. But yeah, I mean, it's an ongoing process of making tweaks and changes, just like anything when it comes to lifestyle. And yeah, the more little tweaks and modifications you make, you've got to constantly be kind of thinking about it and modifying it as you go along. And that ultimately is going to help you to be successful in the long term. So it's a constant iteration, trial and error, and ultimately seeing if there's any other tweaks and changes you can make. And if there isn't, whatever weight you've reached at that point might be the weight that your body is most happy at. So hello, Dr. Dan, how's the weightlifting going? It's going not too shabby. Yeah, right now we're feeling pretty strong, feeling pretty good. About 25 pounds up since my bodybuilding show and stuff. So feeling good in that perspective. I'm probably going to do a mini cut here in the next week or so and kind of post some content around that for you guys to see. And yeah, other than that, it's going well. Shelly, yes, preach. Thanks, Shelly. Jennifer, are Ozempic and Wegovy the same? Yes, Ozempic, Wegovy are, they have semaglutide in them. Yeah, exact same molecule, just different dosages, different indications, that sort of thing. So that's the difference between them. Slavery was good or bad? It's a fucking stupid question. What's the efficacy of Rybelsus versus Ozempic? So to be quite honest, Rybelsus we kind of call the crappy version of Ozempic. The reason being is that Rybelsus is the oral version of Ozempic. So it's the oral version of both Ozempic and Wegovy. The oral version, the biggest problem is that the molecule, the GLP-1 molecule that's inside of these drugs is so big and large that it takes a lot in order to get it across the GI tract. So we like to inject it because it gets directly into our system and doesn't have to go through the stomach, the GI tract, and that sort of thing. And so it's much easier to get it in the system that way. The oral form, while we can get into the system through some pretty cool science, actually, not nearly as much gets into the system. There's special parameters around dosing. So you got to take it like on a completely empty stomach. You can only have like maybe like, I think it's like half a cup or a cup of water with it. You got to wait at least half an hour, more is better. And there's all these different things that need to be taken into account that could affect the absorption of it. So It's definitely not nearly as effective, both from a blood sugar perspective and a weight loss perspective. If you can tolerate the needles and stuff, I highly recommend Ozempic, Saxenda, Mounjaro, just because they're so much more effective than Rybelsus. So, but again, it's going to vary person to person. So, Melissa, no, the same number of weeks, different times. Okay, so Mounjaro and Ozempic. So Melissa's taken Mounjaro, Ozempic for the same amount of time, had a slowing in terms of progress at about the same number of weeks. I mean, fundamentally, that makes sense. They both have a very similar half-life. Mounjaro does seem to be maybe a little bit more potent than Ozempic or Wegovy. So I'm not necessarily surprised by that. So you might be able to squeeze a little bit more out of it. But in terms of weight loss effects, yeah, you're kind of reaching the same point in both of them where you're in a calorie deficit, losing weight, in a calorie deficit, losing weight. And then you reach a point where your calories in are matching your calories that are going out. And yeah, ultimately at that point, the progress stops or slows down. So yeah, hope that helps. Pauline, how do you feel about weight loss surgery? Yeah, I mean, weight loss surgery is certainly an effective and safe option for some individuals, and certainly more at the extreme end of things. We definitely look at it. The medications are getting good enough where hopefully we won't have to use bariatric or weight loss surgery. I mean, that's ultimately the goal. If we don't have to cut you at all, that's 110% better. But there are risks that come with it. And for some people, yeah, again, it can definitely be a game changer and stuff like that in terms of helping them out, depending on what their pathophysiology and stuff like that is. I would say my only qualm with bariatric surgery is the lead up and then the post surgery. A lot of programs only follow people maybe a year if you're lucky. And then after that, you're kind of left to your own devices and stuff. And so if you haven't gotten a proper base in terms of skill set and stuff like that, that can potentially lead to some weight regain down the road, as well as just kind of, is it more of just kind of a choppy type clinic where they get you in, get your stomach out, and kind of go from there. So yeah, it can be very effective. And if it's done by the right team, it's awesome, but we need to have that monitoring, teaching, and yeah, all that sort of thing in place. Would you recommend Wegovy or Mounjaro? Depends on what the goal is. If we're looking purely at a weight loss to try and get as much weight as possible off, Mounjaro would probably be the one that I would lean towards, just because it looks like it's more effective than Wegovy for most people. It's not a whole heck of a lot, but it definitely has some more or greater efficacy. However, in saying that, it also looks like it has more side effects that come with it. So it's more potent, but the GI side, more people seem to react to it. So it would all depend on the person, what their sensitivities are, yeah, and multiple different factors as to which one we would ultimately choose to go with, but both would ultimately be a good option. Stacy, I just found you live. Are there any long-term effects taking dulaglutide or Trulicity? Yeah, great safety data. It's been around for a while. It was it's one of the first generation GLP-1 receptor agonists that came to market. Overall, yeah, no concerns, no issues, long-term or anything like that. So same with the other GLP-1s. For beauty, blush and bling, for someone just looking to lose weight and help with insulin resistance, is Saxenda or Ozempic better? If you're just looking to lose weight, Ozempic is more potent, even at the 1 milligram dose of Ozempic or semaglutide. Again, Ozempic is the same as Wegovy. So Ozempic is more effective than Saxenda. It's a once weekly, Saxenda is once daily. So yeah, it's not so much that Saxenda can't be as effective or beneficial in all those regards, but if you're looking just purely at the numbers, then with Ozempic or Wegovy is going to be your go-to. So that would be the one that I'd recommend anyways. All right, cool beans. That was a lot of freaking talking on my part, guys. I think that's going to be it for tonight, but we are going to be back every Wednesday. I will be doing a live both on YouTube and on here. So be sure to come back and check it out. Same time next week, unless something tragic happens or what have you. But yeah, it's been great chatting with everybody. So hope all of you have a fantastic evening and such. And we'll chat soon. So have a good night, everybody, and a good rest of the week. Let me shut this shit off. That one's down. Sweet.